So why should we learn this kinked demand curve? So in your unit 2, especially the getting materials about the media economics, the last topic is price and output determination. So in a market, how the price is determined based on considering the output. Output means the quantity. So what we can see with reference to how the price and output is determined with reference to the media market. Okay, price and output determination. And before that, I just want to recollect the different types of markets what we have seen in the last week. Perfect competition, as in the academics theory, like the many number of buyers and sellers. The product is homogeneous, where we cited an example of a potato vendor or a tomato vendor or the groceries. So the product is homogeneous, many number of buyers and sellers. There is no any barrier to entry and exit. That means anyone can start up, anyone can get into the business. So there is no such regulations or strict rules and policies to get into the business. So there is a perfect competition. As we discussed, that is in the theory, not in a practice in a country like us. And monopoly, as we discussed about the example of the railways and defense. Okay, they sell the buyers, that means the consumers, customers will be more for that, and there will be market players, only one player, like railways. So there we have seen many characteristics in that monopoly market. One seller, many buyers. Product is differentiated, different products are available, and the interesting feature, the characteristics that we found in a monopoly market is price discrimination is possible. For example, if I mean monopoly, the price is decided by the firm, and if they want to decrease the price, they can decrease. If they want to increase, they can increase. So they have their own what do you say, the control or autonomy or freedom to fix up the price, as how the railways. Okay, and the price discrimination in the sense, for some category A people they can give it in some price, and for category B people they can give it in some other different distinguished price. So that is price discrimination is possible in a monopoly market. When coming to perfect competition, the industry, the market is the price maker, where the people, the vendors like potato or tomato, the people, the food grocery people, the firms, the companies or the organizations, the firms are the price takers. So they can't decide the price. Whatever the price fixed in the market, they have to sell. Because once if they want to increase the price, they will lose the buyers. And if they decrease the price, they won't get any marginal profit or benefit out of decreasing the price. So their price takers. And monopolistic combination of these things, perfect, the products will be homogeneous and perfect competition. Monopoly plus perfect competition, monopolistic. And finally we discussed about the oligopoly market. That means where our media industry in our country suits to that market. The characteristics of oligopoly markets are, as I said, no, the olig means in the Greek it's a few, pollen means it's a sellers. So olig, a few sellers in the market, the few people who dominates the market. That means in the sense they only a very few people, as I said, no, the ranges between 2 to 10 are the players in the market. They will be, what you say, proportionately occupying the 70-80% of the market. For example, petroleum products, where we can list out the people: Bharat Petroleum, Reliance, Indian Oil, SR. So some very few. So it means few. And that what you say, the internet service providers, the telecom industry, telecom service providers, Airtel, Aircel, Vodafone. So there are very few people where they will have a high concentration ratio in the market. So that is the oligopoly market. When then coming to our own media, for example, if we take DTA, television broadcasting industry, each and every firms in the organizations like Airtel, Tata Sky, Videocon, Reliance. So we can list out some seven to 10 players in the market. And the interesting fact in the media industry is the geographical location, the domination of the market players differs. So to South India and to North India, where in South India the dominating DTH market is the firm is the Sun Direct. So oligopoly market also has its own characteristic. So how the price and output can be determined in this oligopoly market? So for that, this kinked demand curve, which helps you to understand the price and output determination of oligopoly market. Before that, I want to make clear you people that to understand what is this, what you say, you have an idea about this supply and demand curve? Do you have any idea? Okay, the x-axis is the quantity, and what you say, the y-axis is the price. The quantity is the output, and denoted as quantity Q or output O, and price is the P. So this D line, this D is demand curve and S is the supply curve. If demand decreases, the supply increases, demand. So the optimum point here, the dot is the, I don't know. Okay, the you'll be able to see my cursor? No. Yeah. This point is known as the equilibrium price. It has been fixed in a perfect competition market. Okay. If this is the equilibrium price where it equals to P and Q. So this curve is the demand curve, and this is the, sorry for the ad. Okay, this is the supply curve. So demand increases, the supply decreases. So supply increases, the demand increases. So in that way, it is both proportionate, the price and quantity curve. So with this price, supply and demand curve, we are going to explain the kinked demand curve concept. Okay. So let's go straight into the characteristics that define the oligopoly. It's a very, very realistic market structure. Here, as I said earlier, no, olig means very few. Olig means, just a minute. So the purpose of objective of this session is to know about oligopoly market characteristics and to know about the kinked demand curve. So now we will get into the oligopoly markets characteristics. So there are few firms that dominate the market. Being more precise, if you want to say that there is a high concentration ratio between the few firms in the whole market, which normally the economics says not more than 7 firms. It collectively, the 7 firms around the 70% of the market share. So that is what they call it as high market concentration ratio. So the market dominated by a few large firms, high market concentration ratio by the few firms. And the third point is the barriers to entry and exit. So it is not easy for anyone to get into this business. So there are barriers. Here the barrier means certain policies, certain licenses, certain government regulations to enter into this business. So interdependent strategic decision by firms, as we discussed in the last session. So one of the interesting characteristics of this oligopoly market is the firms should have an interdependent culture of environment of working for making the strategic decisions in their firms. And the fifth the fifth characteristic is the non-price competition. Here in the oligopoly market, the different firms doesn't have the price competition. As we discussed, no, there is no any price wars. Okay, non-price competition means because the industry, the firm can't fix any price, and if they increase, they will lose the buyers. If they decrease, they are not going to get that much profit. So non-price competition here means where the firms can concentrate on the other factors that can influence the buyers. For example, they can focus on innovative ideas like advertising, after sales service, providing some offers in terms of other means of gift vouchers like that. No, it's that is what they here call it as non-price competition. And if you decrease the price also, the in this oligopoly market, profit maximization is not the sole objective for any firm or any market. No, they will be concentrating on the profit maximization, they will work towards that. But the interesting factor in this oligopoly market is profit maximization is not the sole objective. The sole objective is to survive in the market with a marginal or reasonable profit. So these are the interesting characteristics of the oligopoly market. So because of these characteristics, the price in the market, uh, a price in the market is what they call it as sticky or inflexible for a long time. So it is inflexible, it is rigid for a long time, because in the firms can't decide about the price. There will be an inflexibility and a sticky price in the market for a long time. So for this, the American economist who is named the Paul A. Sweezy, which we call the king to demand curve, also called as Sweezy's model, to explain this king to demand curve for price and output determination for this oligopoly market. So this is what these are the main reasons for creating this king to demand curve, which was developed by Paul A. Sweezy, as an American economist. So a business in an oligopoly faces a downward sloping in the demand curve. Okay, so as I showed that demand and supply curve, no, if there is a sloping in the demand curve, the price elasticity of the demand may be uh, depend on the reaction of the rivals. As I said, no, the interesting characteristics is the interdependent between firms. So if there is a elasticity of demand depend on the likely reaction of the rivals to change one's price and outputs. That is the interesting factor in this oligopoly markets. Rivals or the competitors are assumed not to follow a price increase by one firm. If one firm increases the price, they should not blindly follow the price increasing. So the acting firm will lose the market share. If they increase the price, they will lose the market share. Therefore, demand will be relatively elastic. And a rise in price will lead to less revenue. If we okay, that we will see later how a price increase will lose the revenue. And rivals, competitors are assumed to be likely to match a price fall. If there is a price fall, they will easily follow by a one firm to avoid a loss of market share. If there is a price fall in the market share, this demand will be more inelastic. So the demand of the price fixation will be inelastic. So that two terms, elastic and non inelastic, that we will discuss in the later portions. Okay, how the price is elastic in the price increase and how the price is inelastic in the if a firm wants to decrease its price. So if you want to put it as a very simple a general overview for this Paul Sweezy's model for king to demand curve, in the demand and supply curve, no, starting the D curve starts from the y-axis downward towards the x-axis to the quantity. There is a kink. Kink means a bend. So there is a bend in this curve. That is what we have seen, the dot, no, the price fixation between the price and the quantity. Here I'll show you. Wait, what is that supply and curve? Yeah. So this demand curve, this dot, no, this demand curve won't be a straight sloping falling towards the quantity. What the Paul Sweezy's model suggests is at this point there will be a bend. Bend means this downward sloping point will move towards the y-axis, and this demand curve will remain the same. That is what they're trying to say. Price increase, if the price is increasing means in the demand curve there will be an elasticity in demand. So if the price decrease, if you are decreasing the price, that means you are getting down the price, means then it won't be like a perfect competition. If there is a kink or demand curve, no, because the firms doesn't follow the price increase, they will follow the price decrease. So there will be an inelasticity in price decrease. So okay, Now we will see how the price increase and price decrease with reference to the rivals or the competitors will affect the oligopoly market with reference to the kinked demand curve in the later slides. Okay. Uh, yeah, this is what the curve which explains the kinked demand curve. So this wait just a minute. Yeah, before getting into this curve, we have to be very clear that how we define an oligopoly. I am repeating it again and again. These oligopoly market firms will have a differentiated goods and also unique goods. As I said, no homogeneous goods and also some differentiated goods, which means that they are price makers. Here we say there are high barriers to entry and exist in the oligopolistic market. The major barriers to entry are the startup costs. And oligopoly markets, there is an interdependence. As I say, no, there is an interdependence. This is a defining feature of an oligopoly market, along with the probably most important characteristics where the interdependence, where the firms can't act on their own independently. So they have to make their choices based on the decisions, based on the actions and all the reactions of the rival firms. That is why they mean it as interdependent. So as I said, the price is rigid and inflexible. So using the kinked demand curve, we'll see how much competition on prices tend to be sticky. So non-price competition, as I said, to branding, advertising, quality of the product, or even after sales service. So this on the whole, this becomes a, what you say, it's a oligopoly is a dog fight for market share. So real life examples, as I said, the petroleum. So so from out of this, what the firms trying, no, the firms don't want to change the price and they don't need to change the price also. We'll see after looking into this kinked demand curve, we will be able to know why the firms don't want to change the price and why the firms don't need to change the price. Yeah, now coming to analyzing the kinked demand curve, this theory of starts with assuming that a price is p1 and the quantity is q1. Okay, price p1 and the quantity is q1. At the price d1, what you say, the demand curve is elastic, and between p1 to downward sloping demand curve, it is inelastic. So that is what they are trying to say in the kinked demand curve. Okay, so this point is known as the equilibrium price, where all this perfect competition and all this any other market, they will discuss about the equilibrium price, where there won't be much any change in the price increase. So if there is a rising price, for example, no, the initial price is P1. If a firm wants to increase its price to P2, that means, for example, 100 rupees to 120 rupees. I'm telling approximately an example. Rising price above P1, likely reaction of other firms is to hold their price. This will cause an elastic demand response for this firm. What the results in lost sales and falling total revenue. You see, this is the P1 is the initial equilibrium price. If a firm wants to increase its price to, what do you say, the 10 percentage, 110 rupees, then see what will be the loss of for that company. The quantity will comes to q2, the output. So if the rival competitor firms doesn't follow the increase in price of any firm, if this will be the effect reaction. If you increase the price to the, if you increase price 10 percentage, you will be losing 60 percentage of your customers, 60% of your output will get disturbed. So this is, if you raise the price, this will be the effect in this king demand curve. And cutting price, if you decrease the price, what will the likely reaction of other firms to follow the price reduction? Demand likely to be relatively inelastic. As I said, no, little benefit in terms of extra sales and total revenue. For example, we see this P1 is the equilibrium price. If a firm wants to decrease its price from 100 rupees to 70 or 75 rupees, so what they are going to gain from that equilibrium, other rival markets customers to, for example, if you're reducing the price to 30% and you will be gaining what? just 5% or 2% of the total revenue. So the profit maximization or supernormal profit is not possible by decrease in price. So that is the reason the firm doesn't want to change their price, doesn't want to change their price, because if they increase, they'll be losing their customers. If they decrease, there won't be much increase in the sales or revenue. So in that way, the upward portion, the if the price, you see, it's an elastic demand, and in the downward portion it is inelastic demand. So rising price and cutting price. So that is the reason the firms doesn't want to change their price. They will stay in the equilibrium price. They concentrate on other factors like non-price competition factors, advertising, after sale service, and offering many things to attract the customers. So rising price and cutting price will explain you the elastic and elasticity and inelasticity for a demand curve. So this is what they call the actual kinked demand. Okay, so here it is elastic, and the bend is known as the kinked demand bend for the model. So that is the reason in an oligopoly market, any individual firm can't increase the price based on the rivals increase, because if a rival or competitor firm is increasing the price because of their factors or other factors or the features that they have in the product, there will be some modification or changes in the product, so that's why they increase. If you blindly follow the price increase, the firm will be losing the customers. Okay, if demand is relatively elastic, you're following a price rise, and relatively inelastic after the price fall. So we create this kink in the oligopolist demand curve that will take you to the average revenue of any market. Okay, so are you clear with this kink to demand curve? So you see, we are not economists, but still just will get an idea about what is the king demand curve and how it can be used to explain the oligopoly market to fix a price and to discuss about the price and output determination. Increasing price will decrease your customers. Decreasing price won't give you a maximized profit. So any firm or rival firm should stick to the equilibrium. What do you say? This equilibrium price, and they have to always interdependent on the rival firms, how they are going to react and what they are changing in respect to the market. So that is the beauty of this king demand curve, which will help and which will explain about the oligopoly market. Okay, let me see some few points that will give you more idea about king demand curve. So an oligopoly firms have a price setting power, but may be reluctant to use it. As I said, no, in a perfect competition market, firms are not price makers; they are just price takers, as in the market. I cited the example of potato and tomato vendors. Here, even the oligopoly firms have the freedom and power to set up their price for their own product, but may be reluctant to use it. Why? If they, you see, not only rising or cutting price, if they rise the price, they will lose the customers. If they decrease the price, they are not going to get much profit. So that is the reason, if they have price setting power also, they may be reluctant to use it. And rivals, competitors, unlikely to match a price rise, and rivals likely to match a price fall. As I said, no, interdependence factor, where the rivals and competitors are watching what the other competitors are doing. Okay, so here rivals, they, if any firm increase the price, no, the rival or competitor firm won't increase their price. If a rival or competitor firm decrease the price, no, they will match a price fall. So rivals unlikely to match a price rise, and rivals likely to match a price fall. The third, if a firm is settled on one price, there may be little point in changing it. So if a firm is settled on a one price, that is the equilibrium price, no, So the policymakers or the strategists, economic strategists in the media houses, no, they have to keep on working towards some price change or some offers or some other factors that can attract the customers. So it's not like a one price settled can be a fixed one. There may be little point of change always in a market. As one example what we can see is the Sun Direct or any Tata Sky DTH connection, no, they keep on changing the what you say, the subscription rate. Okay, we don't know how they are determining the price for that DTH connection, because they are competing, they are looking into the policies or strategies of the rival firms, and they are fixing up the fee, and based on that there may be a little point in changing always in the price of fixing up for any DTH connection. Even if costs change, we often see price rigidity or stability in an oligopoly. As I said, no, if the cost is changing, may increasing or decreasing, because this applies to all the firms in the oligopoly market. For example, in the DTH industry, we can still can see the rigidity. Rigidity means it's a rigid means between the firms. As a buyer, as a customer, if we see, if we compare all other firms, no, there will be just a difference in the cost, in the numbers. If we get into the see the characteristics or the service that they offer, no, it is highly difficult to tell which firm offers a less in the less price. So it cost change, even if the cost change occurs frequently, we can see the price rigidity or stability in a oligopoly, that is on a inflexibility for a long time in a market. So this increases the importance attached to the non-price competition. As I said, no, why they are giving more, what you say, sometimes the DTH connection people, no, they will tell they are not going to charge you for the installation. So they are giving it at a free of cost. And sometimes what they that what you say, the set top box, so they used to give an offer like they are not going to charge for their set top box, they are giving it free of cost. And sometimes they will come up with some innovative service strategy like 6 months free service, and on demand of the market and comparing with the rivals, they will come with 12 months free service. And if there is any change of changing of location from one place to other place for any DTH connection also, they will sometimes they will come with an announcement like it is going to be free. So this, all these characters and factors increases the importance attached to the non-price competition. Non-price competition is the competition is not with the price, that is the price war. The competition will be with the advertising, service strategies, after sales service, during discussions, offers, and colluding with other firms to offer more and attract the customers to keep with them. Okay, so that is the beauty of this industry. So the major conclusion factor for this king demand curve is price competition, confidence to maintain the equilibrium. Rising price or cutting price can't be possible. As I said, no, even though the oligopoly firms have their power to fix up the price or change their price, they won't, because of loss or because of not getting super normal profit, the non-price competition and the temptation to collude by, as I said, the advertising factors. So this will be, this is the beauty of this oligopoly market. Okay, if you have any questions, you can post your questions. Any questions? No questions. I think people have slept. Yeah, I understand this is an economic concept. Really, it's very difficult to understand economic concept because they are not from the economic base. If there is no question, shall we wind up?